Well, hello and a very warm welcome back to the Andrew Eborn Show. It's lovely to see you. And what we've been doing in this series is looking at how people can cope during lockdown in these very stressful times. And normally at the start of every year, we've all had our Christmas fill and put on maybe those few extra pounds. Well, to help us shed those in a sensible and healthy way, I'm delighted to be joined by Audrey Backhouse. How are you, Audrey?
I'm very well, Andrew.
And you're looking for one of these spring-like. Look at you with
No,
your
I'm
glorious
pretending it's
colours
spring already.
springing into action. It's wonderful. And it always happens, doesn't it? Around Christmas time, we all maybe have a little bit more than we should, and we put on those pounds. And it's particularly difficult in lockdown. They say you're going to be one of three things. You're either going to be a hunk because you do lots of exercise, a chunk because you put on too much weight, or a drunk in lockdown. It's one of those three things, but we can help, and we can help people get regularly healthy dieting in a particular way. Talk me through that.
Yes, we can. The word dieting, actually, as nutritionists, we hate that word dieting. We just think it should be eating healthily, eating well, and having a few treats now and then. But there are basic principles that help your body to shed a few pounds. So what I want to do was just to share a few of those little trade secrets with you. First thing you should do is when you eat, you should be eating, they call it eat mindfully. So today, and especially when we're sort of all stuck indoors, many people, including some members of my family, sort of turn around and say, I love you dearly, but am I really just eating with you again? So, boredom sets in, so people are rushing their food. Don't rush your food. You should actually be eating slowly, mindfully, chewing each mouthful about 15 to 30 times. They say
30 times.
30, yes, because that really helps break down all the food. I mean, we're given teeth for a reason. We're given teeth to chew. Sometimes the food doesn't even reach our teeth, it goes down so quickly. So take time. A good trick to do for that is actually to put your knife and fork down a couple of times between a meal. So really extend it out. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is about really the time that you eat. So nowadays, food is available left, right, and centre. It didn't used to be. You go anywhere. I go to buy a newspaper. I get a newspaper. I'm offered almost a free chocolate bar. I haven't asked for the chocolate bar, but it's on offer. So the temptations are there. Get yourself into a discipline of eating 2 or 3 times a day. The beauty, and spread it out. So maybe have a 5-6 hour break between breakfast, lunch, and then dinner. The beauty of that is it lets your gut digest and rest. So your gut actually has a little mechanism. It's a bit like Hoover. So after you eat food, for the first couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, you're breaking down that food to get all the lovely nutrients out of it. Then your tummy likes to sort of sweep that all along and make itself nice and clean, but a bit like spring cleaning before it gets more food. But what happens if you snack in between is that healthy little cleaning process never happens. So you're just sort of always throwing stuff in, and your stomach, which needs to have time of rest, doesn't really get time of rest. So tip number 2 is really spread your meals out about 5 or 6 hours between a meal.
5 or 6 hours. So you have your breakfast. Is there a good time? People always used to say you eat like a king. You have lunch for breakfast. You then have lunch as a prince or a princess, and then you have dinner as a pauper. Is that the right sort of quantity?
You can do that. It's not right for everyone's lifestyle. And actually, I find a lot of my clients, they just say, Audrey, I don't like eating breakfast. Now, if you don't like eating breakfast, why force yourself at 7 o'clock in the morning to be facing something? There's other things you can do. You can have 2 meals a day, but make them 2 proper meals and spread them out. Or you can delay breakfast until, let's say, 9 or 10 o'clock. But if you do that, let's say you're eating at 9 o'clock, then you won't have lunch till about 2 o'clock. So you won't have dinner till about 7 o'clock. You shouldn't really eat after about 9 o'clock at night, because again, overnight, you need to do that. But rule number 3, or tip number 3, I would say, obviously, if you're spreading these meals out, you have to make sure you don't get hungry in between. Because you can, if you eat the wrong things, and it can even be a whole plate of healthy salad, vegetables, whatever, you can bet you'll be hungry quite quickly. I once had lunch with a prospective client. We were in an organic vegan restaurant. We ate beautiful food. I said to her, I'm going to be hungry in 2 hours and you're going to be hungry in 2 hours. And she texted me and went, I'm hungry after 2 hours. There was no protein in that plate. It was just beautiful, lovely, quite expensive stuff. And it wasn't a proper meal. So what is a proper meal? A proper meal is to make sure you have protein foods. So that's meats, fish, nuts, pulses, beans, nice, if you go onto my website, there's a list of them, nice protein-rich foods, and make sure that you have about a nice big handful. I mean, there's guidance, some people like measuring their food, but a nice portion, but taking up about a quarter of the plate. And then the other half of the plate should be what I call vegetables and fruits that grow above the ground. So they're not those heavy potatoes, carrots, etc. You should have them, but in smaller amounts. So anything that, if you are planting seeds, you see growing above the ground, in onions and lighter stuff, they're the stuff that's going to give you all the wonderful nutrients and vitamins, minerals, that will really feed your body and keep you healthy. And then have a little handful of the carbohydrates. So that might be, instead of, half the plate is mashed potato, or you go for a curry and it's like all rice and very little curry, think the opposite. Think of it as being just a little bit on the side. So if you eat enough protein and you fill your plate with all these wonderful lighter fruit and vegetables, you won't get hungry in between.
Okay, that makes sense. So we take our time in eating the meal, we leave a good number of hours, 5 hours between each meal, and then we also make sure it's a balanced meal. And you mention about that, make sure there's enough protein. Even if you are vegetarian or vegan, there's some fantastic food. The thing that you need to make sure is that you get the protein as well, to make sure you keep those energy levels up.
That's right, exactly that.
Very good. And is that it?
Is that it? Oh, I've got tips galore. I'll give you two little insider tips. A big theme around health and eating these days is intermittent fasting. You've probably heard of it.
Absolutely.
Intermittent fasting can be anything from the very famous 5-2 diet, which works for some people, doesn't work for other people.
That's 5 days eating and 2 days off, as they call it.
Yes, it doesn't work for everybody. It depends what you eat in those 5 days. So, but there's also, some people believe, eat within a 6-hour window, fast within an 18-hour window, or what I've just talked about, which is a little bit like intermittent fasting. If you're leaving 5-hour gaps between meals, then actually you're having a good 12 hours, maybe 13 to 14 hours overnight of fasting. It's wonderful. The health benefits in losing weight, but all the other things way beyond that, reducing inflammation, healing your gut. It can be a really good thing, as long as you're eating proper meals and you do it in a structured way. It's not about the old-fashioned dieting or calorie counting. It's about using fasting and all the science behind fasting to your advantage. So I would say, and it's totally a lifestyle decision. And when I talk to clients, I have to understand what will work in their busy life. So some people do it, as I say, the 5-2 diet. Other people it's leaving, 14, 16-hour gap. And so find a method. Again, you can read up on it. I've got blogs on it. Find a method that works for you, because if it works for you, if it's not difficult, it won't be a burden. It'll be a joy to do. And the very last tip is when it comes to exercise. Now, I'm obviously also a yoga teacher. in yoga, the kind of yoga that we teach at Blessed is quite powerful yoga. So yes, it's great for toning up, for building muscle. But if you're in January and you kind of want to come out by about mid-February, a good few pounds lighter, a little trick that I do is I exercise on empty. So when I get up in the morning, I, might have a cup of tea, I might have water, but I then will do my exercise without having eaten. Now that has benefits to really helping you, helping your body to try and find the energy that it needs to do the exercising. Where does it find it? It goes to wonderful fat deposits and gets rid of them. So that's good. And then there's the type of exercise, a type that I favor for weight loss is called high intensity interval training. So if you're outside running or doing a fast walk, you might want to walk for 1.5 minutes at a normal pace and then walk really fast. Or if you're on a treadmill, run for 1.5 minutes, nice normal pace, you're not out of breath, it feels comfortable, and then go into a faster pace for 1.5 minutes, then bring that down for 1.5 minutes, and then do that again. And do that for about 20 minutes. So it doesn't have to be a great big thing, and you will more likely than not lose a few pounds.
Fantastic. I certainly, I've been doing a lot of that. Combining exercise is great for your mental health as well, isn't it? And
oh, absolutely.
It is interesting. I do before breakfast go for a walk around the park, and you're right that the weight comes off. You go to a healthy weight. It's all about that. It's not about weight loss. It's about being a healthy weight, isn't it? And that's the important thing. And getting all the right nutritions in, getting rid of the fat. And one of the great things as well, Audrey, is that there are virtually really quick results, because what happens is the fat that you put on, this little excess fat, you can lose that first, and so it does start showing quite quickly, doesn't it?
It does, and it's wonderful. And it shouldn't be. I think the old way we used to get people, sort of to lose weight, it was all about deprivation. It so shouldn't. I mean, exercising should be fun. It should be quick. It should fit in with your life. Eating should be fun. You should be eating foods you like. And instead of snacking, which is a word I can't stand, it shouldn't be snacking. It should be a treat, and a treat is something that you have occasionally.
Right. Absolutely. And that's all good. And it's not that sort of rough lifestyle where you feel as though you're being deprived. Because as soon as you feel as though you're being deprived, you don't want to do it. But if it's enjoyment and you enjoy the meal, take your time. They say that a meal is enjoyed 3 times: in the anticipation, in the consumption, in the memory. And if you can do that, enjoy the food, enjoy the process. You're not just gulping it down. It's not fast food in that sort of way, but you enjoy it. That will also help you lose weight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it will also help you keep that weight off.
And that's the key, isn't it? Because a lot of people, they do these diets and they talk about yo-yo dieting. And as you say, it's not a word you like to use, dieting. It's all about healthy eating. But how do you avoid the yo-yo effect?
You don't go into an eating regime that you can't keep up. There are 2 aspects. For most people, you start with small habits. So let's say you're somebody who, the only thing I can eat for breakfast is, 1 slice of toast. Well, you could be hungry quite soon, as I've said. So you might start addressing that. So saying, okay, for the next week, 2 weeks, I'm going to decide when I want to eat breakfast and eat a good breakfast. So practice that as a habit. It's like yoga, it's a practice. Once you practice something and you find it works for you, you bring it into your lives. So a dirty little secret, I used to be a 2 Diet Coke morning girl myself in my past life, which wasn't nutrition. And I thought it was great. It got me through. I realized it was a short-term fix, as enjoyable as it was. I didn't like breakfast. I had to practice bringing breakfast in. And it didn't take long, but it was focusing on one thing. And with clients, that's what I've found. It's not, I think it's unrealistic to say to somebody, okay, you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you want to get healthy and you want to stay healthy. let me take you and give you the perfect diet. Now, for some people, they're so motivated, or they might have health conditions, they can do that. For the vast majority of the people, they're busy, they have a lot of other things going on in their lives. They can't suddenly undo 20, 30 years of habits. So you can slowly build up habits. So if in January you think, okay, I'm going to take the rules that I've said and really try them, come February, what I'm really going to do is take one of them and see if I can do the 5 hours, or really get the breakfast perfect, or do fasting 1 day a week and start to build that in, or exercise. And then once that habit's embedded, you get another habit, and then habits will stick with you. Whereas diets, as you say, yo-yo.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right about that little secret confession about your 2 Diet Cokes instead of your breakfast. You, in fact, further confession, because I know this about you, you used to work, it's not the dark side, it's a big industry, but you used to peddle fizzy drinks and sugary snacks and things like that.
Do you know my very first client? So for your viewers, my first job was an account, as a trainee accountant. That only lasted a year. God, I was bad at that. My second job was in advertising, and I had many fun years in London and in New York. It was an absolute blast. My very first client was Coca-Cola. Sorry, that Coke company you should probably say in TV, but yes.
But wonderful stuff. But the good thing is, and everybody likes a little treat, as you say now and again. Talk to me finally then about sugar, because sugar, it doesn't give you that long-term satisfying. It's a quick fix, isn't it? And that makes you a little bit hungry later. Talk to me about sugar.
It is. Sugar is a quick fix, and it doesn't mean you should never have it again, have it as a treat and no, today's is going to be my donut day and I'm thoroughly going to enjoy it, but I'm not going to be having one every day. When your body takes in sugar, so sugar is a refined food, so white sugar, brown sugar, it's really been refined down. When your body takes it in, it can very quickly release into energy. So let's say I have a big sugary biscuit, I eat it, it immediately spikes my blood sugar level. And then it uses all that energy very, very quickly, and then I feel hungry again. Whereas if you had, let's say, a whole meal and cheese sandwich or something, it would release it much slower. So it'd be a lower curve, and it would last for longer. So you've got little hormones that are called hunger hormones. They've got sexy names like ghrelin, and leptin, and they make you feel hungry, and they make your tummy rumble, and they make you feel full. And they're always active, and when you eat sugar, it doesn't take long for them to go, still hungry, which is why you need to eat a balanced diet.
Audrey, it's been an absolute joy and a wonderful education as always. Stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing you next time. But for now, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
So thank you again to Audrey Backhouse, the Nutri Yogi, and also to Blessed Yoga. Some fantastic tips there as to how you can have a healthy life without all the pain and the strain of crash diets and things like that, things that work. So you get a wonderful healthy eating, healthy living, and you will feel fantastic. Because when you do lose the unnecessary pounds, or you start building up to a proper weight, depending on which way you're going, then what happens is you find you get more energy, and you'll feel vibrant and much, much more positive. Healthy eating for healthy mental health, and all round will make you feel a lot better. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can write to me at guests@octopustv.com. Don't forget to subscribe to Octopus TV on all the usual platforms, on Dailymotion and YouTube, to make sure that you're notified first of all new videos in the series. And you can follow me at Andrew Eborn, at Octopus TV, at Stella TV4. But for me, Andrew Eborn, for now, thank you very much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.